Howdy, fellow hunters. Today I have what I think are the two most fearsome of the changing breeds of all, the Kitsune and the Mokolé. Why? Well, we'll get into that. First of all, the Kitsune. And here, I really know I encourage you as a fellow hunter to just go and just waste whatever you want with cunning, style, and violence, of course. But for these two, I would really consider running, giving up, strategic retreat to previously prepared positions to plan your glorious return at a later date. But yeah, these are the two which, if you were to just ditch the whole hunting business, I would only look at you with a moderate amount of disdain. These are the challenge, but if you can do the challenge, then so much the better for you. Now, the Kitsune. Why are these ones fearsome? Well, they're not particularly powerful in combat as shapeshifters goes. In fact, they're probably one of the wussier ones around. They're not as damaged as silver as most shifters are, but they're still damaged a bit, and silver shrapnel will still shred them. So yeah, they have certain advantages, but they're not particularly tough or endurant. So pretty agile, but yeah. Agility is not going to get out of the way of an auto-firing cannon now then, is it? So why do I say that these are some of the most scary and fearsome opponents out there? Because they have a social system that works. Remember I said the advantage of the guru and the advantage of the human? They combine both. They have tribes, first of all. You want to encounter them. You might encounter one solitary as they go around playing tricks. They're very fond of tricks. But it'll be backed up by a whole tribe. There'll be a web because they're tricksters, they're spies. So far you're thinking Koraks, yeah? But they're also influential. They're politicians. They manipulate. They are actually explicitly tasked by Gaia herself. Apparently I wasn't there, but this is what they said, to overthrow governments that deviate from Gaia's mandate. Yep. They are the power behind the throne, the power behind the human throne. That is their design. They are amongst humans spreading their, no, they don't have tentacles, spreading their furry tails. Okay, their tail tentacles. And grasping there. So they have essentially all the advantages of a shifter and all the advantages of an influential, powerful human, and more so because they're combining the two, because they have contacts, because they have the spirit connection, because they know others of each other, because they have this ancient lore, and because they know the modern world. So if you are fighting them, you are fighting beings who can think on the same level as you can and think on different levels, who have all the allies that you can gather and more that you can't. Unless, I don't know, maybe you're a Kitsune yourself who's watching this, in which case, yeah, it'll just be a fair fight. But yeah, so what can you do? How do I advise fighting them? Well, there's, of course, the hit and run with huge explosives, because they're quite physically weak, but that may not work. They may know that you're coming, and even if they don't, they may follow you. They have ways of tracking you down, because humans have ways of tracking you down. So how do you deal with them? Well, influence. The game of influence is one that a patient hunter can play. I barely have patience for it myself, but it's still a fun one if you're in the right mood. It takes a few years. Basically, feel out the local scene. Oh, they're all Asians, as far as I can tell. Don't see many of them in the West. Cultural differences. Maybe the Western governments are all just so honest and nice that they don't ever have to undermine them. Yep, that must be it. And all the honest African and West Asian governments as well. All of them free of corruption, apparently, because the Kitsune never undermine them. Anyway, for some reason, China, Japan, around there, that's pretty much the only place you'll find them. So, spread your own web of influence. See what happens. See if you've got feedback, who's pushing back as you try and do things. Do things just to see what a reaction will be. And then when you've eliminated the options, such as this is a elder vampire, this is a younger vampire, this is someone from the technocracy, this is someone from the... Yeah, actually you have to eliminate a lot of different options. But the point is, as soon as you can identify them and they can move around in the day, they're fond of playing tricks, use these. If you can guess who they are and see how they react, you can start weaving a web. You can start weaving a web of trickery. Because despite all their advantage, they still think in terms of stories. They still think in terms of pranks. You can just set out a prank, like, I don't know, a temple, ancient, not quite, let's do Indiana Jones's like. There's scrolls on how to escape it, hinting at treasure and hinting at secret ways of getting out of it, and basically whole mythology and how this was made as a trick, as a trap, as a test. I think this is going to draw in the werefoxes irresistibly. And then when they get in, you blow it up. There's no way out. You just wrote a way out. And the trick was that they believed what you wrote. That's where their skill is. So trick them on that. Give them a story that they want to know. You don't have to go for the temple, but something. Maybe, promote a politician that they hate. And then hint that there is some huge scandal. A massive scandal. Drop clues about them. Have your politician deny it. And have them search out. And that's your modern equivalent of the temple, and blow them up at that point. It's an interesting game. Now, of course, then there's the retreat afterwards. Well, if you've been there a time and established things, they might be less likely to suspect you, because you've obviously been a player. You have objectives. You have carefully measured things. You're not just there to kill and skin a fox, are you? Well, you are, but you've been so patient that they'll never think of you as just the thrusting, vigorous hunter. They never realize that they were the target. They think they might be collateral damage and that they have other enemies, but no, they're the ones you're after. Now, on to the second of the extremely powerful, very different ones, these ones, the Mokolé. So, we have the different options. Are they solitary? Sometimes. Sometimes they're in groups, okay? No particular vulnerability on that side. Are they political? Not really. Influential? Somewhat. Smart? Now we're getting somewhere. They definitely have a certain type of smartness. Are they lethal in battle? Oh, bloody gods, yes. Mokolé are were-saurians, or sometimes called were-crocodiles. Let me give you another phrasing, which may give you a better understanding of what you're up against. Were-dragons, were-dinosaurs. In the second case, literally. Because when the dinosaurs reigned, there were lizard kings amongst them, and they ruled the planet. Until they fell. You may look this up in a decent history book, though they probably don't mention the lizard kings. When they fell, well, they fell, and the remnants became the Mokolé, who mixed with humans became were. So in a sense, it's tempting to think of a werewolf as someone who is essentially a human who can also be a wolf. Also, you have wolves that might be a human, but it's a certain perspective is that the human is there first with the abilities and savagery of the wolf. For the Mokolé, the dragon, the dinosaur, the lizard king was there first, and the human was added as a disguise. They are humans secondary. And they have memories of the time gone by. They have memories of the glories that they had, and they're waiting for it now. They're waiting for this world to fall so that they can take over again and work the wonders that they did before. So what does this mean? Well, it means that when you encounter one, they are going to know lots of odd facts from long ago and lots of odd facts from now. They have information, it's not consistent. So if you're lucky, this is something like the equivalent of pottery or cooking recipes from ancient Greece. So intellectually stimulating, but nothing else. If you're really unlucky, they might just know the exact weakness of you at that point, or what's going on in the world, or how to get out of this kind of traps. Their unexpected wisdom can be bloody annoying at times, and this gives them uncanny insights often. They don't generally do anything about it, which is the really annoying thing. So they might figure out, oh yes, I know that hunter. Oh, yes, they're planning to attack me. This is all their plan. How interesting. They don't do anything, so you think your plans are going to go off without a hitch, and then you start and, oh, they've realized everything, and now they're tearing everything apart. As, I repeat, were dragons or were dinosaurs. They're unbelievably hard. They have all the shifter, they've rage, they've a frenetic space, but they can be so... They can have claws of unbelievable size. They can have hides that you can't really pierce through even with a bazooka. Yes, I tried. I needed to check. They can have wings. They are fearsome creatures. But the greater the challenge, the greater the glory. You might see that head behind me. So it can be done. And congratulations for those who have attempted it. And on specific weaknesses, they do have the usual shifter weakness. They are vulnerable to silver. However, they also have an unusual one, Sims the Corax. They're vulnerable to gold. So gold and silver. Now this double vulnerability would be useful if gold wasn't about 1,000 times more expensive than silver. But still something to bear in mind. It's very hard to justify. Like if you go into a guru encampment and you're wearing silver, they'll know something's up. You go to meet a Corax with a lot of gold, they might be suspicious. But if a party goes into the jungles and some are wearing gold and some are wearing silver, this is, well, there's no pattern particularly, and lots of people wear jewelry. Still, anyways, stay murderous, my friends, stay murderous. And I think you'll like the two that we're going to be talking about next week.